Hello, this is Elizabeth Griffin, the Black Romance Writer, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, if you aren't following me, then what are you waiting for? Please take a moment and do so now, and definitely hit the notification bell so that anytime I upload a video, whether it is early in the morning or in the mid-afternoon or late at night, you will be made aware immediately because I am always on this platform and I am always uploading new videos and new content. Today, we are going to talk about writing young adult fiction. And my information is taken from Writing Romances, a handbook by the Romance Writers of America. Writing for teens is one of my favorite types of writing. I love this category of young adult romances, and I love all the many genres that fall under this category, whether it is mystery, horror, sweet romance, suspense, you name it, and I am interested in researching it and finding out as much information as possible. Today, we will be looking at chapter 23 in the book Writing Romances. And this particular chapter is entitled Writing the Young Adult Romance, and it's written by Sherry Garland. Writing young adult fiction is not for the faint of heart. Of all the fiction genres, the young adult category is one of the most unpredictable. Like the characters in the stories and the adolescents who read them, young adult fiction bridges the space between childhood and adulthood, and that bridge is very shaky. I think you will be surprised to find out that YA category embraces a lot of subgenres: mystery, horror, romance, mainstream, historical, fantasy, science fiction, to name a few. YA romances range from the fast-paced paperback novels to the hardback mainstream literature. Are you familiar? Have you read the popular young adult series called The Clique, written by Lacey Harrison, a Canadian novelist? Or what about Stephenie Meyers, the author of the Twilight Saga, which created a series of movies that hit young adults all around the world? These are two examples of successful paperback novels and mainstream hardback novels. I find it interesting that young adults will read paperback novels or ebooks, whereas librarians will purchase the hardback novels. Now, let's talk about the birth of a new genre, because young adult fiction is relatively new if you compare it to adult romances. If we look back at the 1950s, we will recall Nancy Drew, Trixie Belton, Susan Barton, and Cherry Ames. However, in the 1960s, the types of young adult books that were written were geared towards teenagers or characters that were troubled or tortured or struggling with problems in their lives. These were called the problem novels, and they covered every topic from drugs to teen pregnancy to incest to alcoholism to runaways to gangs to delinquents and other dark subjects. Teachers and librarians welcomed this new trend, but in the late 1970s and 1980s, this was the golden age for young adult romances and series, and many new publishers were creating lines for their voracious young readers, which were girls ages 11 to 13. Do you recall some of these lines, such as Sweet Valley High, Sweet Dreams, Cheerleaders, Wildfire, First Love, Seniors, Sisters, and Crossroads? Between 1981 and 1985, the Sweet Dreams series alone sold almost 19 million books. These books had the predictable plots and the squeaky clean, no sex scenes, no profanity, no sad ending type of storyline. And of course, the topics covered in these series were friendships and cheerleading and popularity and dating. These stories typically took place in settings such as the mall, or skating rinks, or during a prom, high school, or sports events, or even the movie theater. And the protagonists of the story, the main characters, usually attended middle school. By the early 1990s, the popularity of YA romances was plummeting. And guess what came on the scene? Horror. Horror series took over the role as the kind of paperback novels that young people were reading. Several young adult romance lines folded, and young adult romance authors turned to other ways of making a living. But have no fear. Young adult romance made a comeback, and many publishers were aiming the romance series at younger audiences, middle-aged girls ages 8 to 12. These books often featured clubs with several female characters. The protagonists in these books attended junior high school rather than high school or college. These series often revolved around mutual activities such as horseback riding, skating, ballet, or babysitting. The romances in the middle-aged novels mean simply a boy-girl relationship without sex. It was more like first love. And for the older readers, more realistic contemporary young adult romances started gaining popularity. The protagonists are in high school or college and face problems that are considered real-life events, such as falling in love or having sex for the first time. Typically, the point of view shifts among several primary characters in these books, including the male character. Often these books appear as miniseries with 3 or 4 books written by the same author. Of course, the heat level is quite different. It's more sensual. It is more feely. It is not like the sweet romances of the past. However, sex is only alluded to. It is never graphic. Young readers want to read about characters that are slightly older than themselves. If you are writing for girls aged 9 to 13, the heroine should be at least 14. The hero should be the same age or a year or two older than the heroine. In junior high school or high school, just one grade level can make a huge difference. However, dating mature men in young adult romances is a no-no. While the topic of young adult romance is more mature today than in the past, there are certain taboos that we need to stay away from. Explicit sex is one of them. When writing the big love scenes, you do not need to be graphic. Far more important than graphics is that you show the underlying emotions in the relationship between the boy and the girl. It should be jubilant. It should be full of joy. You should see the excruciating pains of separation. You should see the insecurities, the fears, the conflicts, the tension, and the triumph that love does win out in the end. YA romances usually require happy or at least hopeful endings. In either case, the protagonist should grow. They should learn something from the experiences that have transpired through the past 40,000 to 65,000 words. They should learn about themselves, about love and relationships, about life. And when they finish your novel, they should feel that the story hasn't ended, but that it is beginning. Now, with all that being said, you are probably wondering, how do I hook my reader? Well, according to Sherry Garland, here are 10 things that you can do. 1, open with a hook. Action, a problem, or a change. Today's teens are used to watching television, video games, or movies, so you need to grab them and draw them into your story immediately. 2, each chapter should end with a cliffhanger, a question, a reason for your reader to turn the page. 3, make dialogue believable and avoid slangs that can date your book. 4, avoid excessive descriptions. Your teens don't have the time or the patience to read through tiresome narrative. They want the dialogue and they want to deliver it quickly. 5, avoid lengthy flashbacks. It's too tiresome to try to keep up with going back and forward in time. 6, use your sensory perceptions. That means all 5 senses need to be expressed in your storytelling. Don't preach morals or lessons to your reader. 8, let the protagonist solve his or her problems. Don't let adults come in and do it for them. 9, do not, and I repeat, do not show explicit love scenes. And 10, develop conflict and tension. This will give the protagonist the problems that they need in order to keep the story going. The YA market continues to fluctuate. There are highs and lows, so it is up to you as the author to do your research and to be aware of new trends and of new changes in the young adult world. So as always, thank you for joining my platform. I hope this video has been useful. And until next time, I'm wishing you love, peace, joy, and happiness. As always, bye-bye.